Everyone. Another book today at Cindy Harper Speaks, and a shout out to a person by the name of Alexander who wants me to read this chapter book. So we're only going to do a couple of chapters at once at a time. So today we're going to do chapters 1 and 2. So I hope you like this, and this is for you, Alexander. So it's A to Z Mysteries. It's Super Edition 12, and this is Space Shuttle Scam. So there's some kind of space shuttle scam going on. Let's hear about it. Ooh, look at this. Welcome to A to Z Mysteries on location in Florida. Oh, look, there's a driveway to Snake World and Airport, Palm Avenue, a house, a bunkhouse, a barn, a cafe, parking area, Alice's land, pond number 1, old trail to pond number 2. Cool little area. Chapter 1. Walker Wallace turned the engine key and adjusted the throttle. The propeller began whirring as he let up on the foot brakes. His small airplane raced down the airport runway in Hartford, Connecticut, then lifted into the April sky. "We're off," he cried. Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose were buckled into the seats behind Walker. Walker's sister, Wallace, sat in the front passenger seat. "Florida, here we come," she said. "Am I going to get airsick?" Josh asked. "You'd better not," Dink said. "I'm right next to you." "Me too," said Ruth Rose, who sat on Josh's other side. The kids wore jeans and sweatshirts. Ruth Rose liked to have everything match, so her headband, shirt, and jeans were the color of spring violets. Her sneakers and backpack were the same color. "We should have a smooth ride," Wallace said. "We'll be in Florida before you know it." Wallace was the kids' favorite mystery book writer and their friend. She was going to Florida to visit her Aunt Alice and had invited Dink, Josh, and Rose to join her. They were headed for the town of Christmas, Florida, where Aunt Alice lived. She ran Alice's Space Shuttle, a small museum where kids could see space stuff up close. "How's Abby?" Ruth Rose asked. Wallace, Abigail, who liked being called Abby, was Wallace's adopted daughter. She was born with spina bifida, so she used a wheelchair to get around. "Fine, thanks," Wallace said. "This week she's at camp and she's learning to ride a horse." "Can you tell us what your new book is about?" Dink asked Wallace. "I only have part of the story worked out," Wallace said, turning to look at the kids. "It's about an astronaut who accidentally leaves his cat on the moon after a mission." She grinned. "The cat's name is Blinky, and I have to figure out how to get him back to Earth." "Can't the astronaut just return to the moon and get Blinky?" Dink asked. Wallace shook her head. "Moon launches are super expensive," she said, "and the missions use a lot of fuel, so it would cost millions of dollars to go back to the moon. Until I come up with an idea, the cat is stuck up there." "Poor Blinky," Ruth Rose said. "He'll be so lonely." "And hungry," Josh said. The small plane sailed higher. The kids gazed through the windows at the clouds. Dink wondered if there were clouds over the moon. He decided he'd look it up later. His laptop was tucked inside his backpack. Ruth Rose was flipping the pages of her guidebook. "Well, a lot of wild animals live in Florida," she said. "Want me to read the list?" "No, thanks," Josh muttered. "Please tell us," Dink said. He and Ruth Rose liked to tease Josh. They knew he wasn't a fan of wild animals. Ruth Rose opened the book and read, "Florida, Flora, and Fauna." "What are flora and fauna?" Josh asked. "Flora means plants, and fauna means animals," Dink said. "How do you know that?" Josh asked. Dink tapped the side of his head. "Dink brain," he said. Josh laughed. "Okay," he said to Ruth Rose. "What animals live in Florida?" "Lots of stuff," Ruth Rose said. "Pumas, bears, snakes, alligators." "Yikes, stop the plane. I want to get off, Josh yelled. Plus mosquitoes, butterflies, raccoons, eagles, frogs, fish, turtles, lizards, and spiders, Ruth Rose continued. You forgot to mention the red gobbler, Dink said. Josh closed his eyes. What's a red gobbler? He asked. Dink just grinned. How about a hint, Clint? Josh asked, trying not to grin. Well, they have red hair, Dink said, and they gobble. The plane's loud humming and the vibration coming through his seat made Dink feel drowsy. He closed his eyes. Wakey, wakey, Wallace said. She reached around and tapped Dink on the knee. We're almost there. Walker is going to fly us over Aunt Alice's house before we land at the airport. Dink sat up, rubbed his eyes, and peered through his window. He saw more clouds. Right now we're over Kennedy Space Center. Walker said over his shoulder, Sorry about the clouds. A few minutes later, the kids looked down on a small town. Buildings and cars looked like pieces in a board game. Walker took his plane lower. Any minute now, there. See that White House? That's where Aunt Alice lives. The kids looked down and saw a house and barn. Spreading wide behind the barn was a jungle-like forest that seemed to go on for miles. Two cars were parked in the driveway on the right side of the house. We'll land in about 5 minutes, Walker said. He turned the plane and headed for the airport. Chapter 2. That says, Welcome to the Space Shuttle. There's the airport, Walker said. The kids looked down and saw parked planes, buildings with flat roofs, and a parking lot. Space Coast Regional Airport was painted in huge letters on a roof. Walker landed the plane and taxied to one of the buildings. Welcome to Christmas, Florida, he said. Walker and Wallace helped the kids deplane. They collected their backpacks and walked toward the building. It's hotter here than in Connecticut, Josh said. Well, it gets warmer, Wallace said. Be thankful this is April and not July. She looked toward the parking area. Aunt Alice is usually here to meet us, she said, but we saw her station wagon in the driveway. Let's give her a few minutes, Walker said. Maybe she just forgot. Walker, you know Aunt Alice never forgets anything, his sister said. Dink looked around the airport. He saw tall palm trees and short buildings. One bird flew over. Everything was hot and quiet. Finally, Wallace said. She waved at a station wagon that was heading toward them. The station wagon Dink had seen parked by the White House pulled up and stopped. A young guy with blonde hair and a ponytail hopped out and waved. Hi, I'm Kenny, he said. I work for Ms. Wallace. She asked me to come get you. Kenny wore baggy shorts, a tank top, and flip-flops. Must be Kenny. His skin was tan deep brown. A tiny glass earring sparkled from his left earlobe. Sorry I'm late, Kenny said. I had to bring something to my uncle at the bank where he works. Hi, Kenny, Walker said. The men shook hands. I'm Walker. This is my sister Wallace, and these are our friends Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose. Nice to meet y'all, Kenny said. Walker hugged his sister. I'll see you tomorrow, he said. Some of my pals work at Kennedy Center and are getting together tonight, and I told them I'd join them. You're still planning to make Aunt Alice a birthday cake tomorrow, right? Wallace nodded. Don't be late, she said. The kids thanked Walker, and he trotted back to his plane. Where's my aunt? Wallace asked Kenny. I thought she'd be picking us up. Kenny put the luggage in the back of the station wagon. She was going to, but she's pretty upset, he said. What is she upset about? Wallace asked. I'll tell you on the way, Kenny said. They piled into the station wagon. Kenny drove out of the airport parking lot and turned left. Wallace looked at Kenny. You were saying? She asked. A mountain lion was hanging around your aunt's house this morning, Kenny said. Oh, no, Wallace said. Miss Wallace was inside, Kenny went on. The lion was in the driveway, just watching the house. Maybe it smelled her dog. I managed to get a picture on my phone before it ran away. Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose were listening to every word. Did the mountain lion escape from a zoo? Josh asked. Wallace turned around to face the kids. There are mountain lions in the wild in Florida, she said, smiling a little. They're also known as cougars or pumas. We almost never see them because they stay away from people. No one spoke for the next few miles. How long are y'all staying with Miss Wallace? Kenny asked. Just the weekend, Wallace said. So you work for my aunt? I didn't know she had hired anyone. I started in January, Kenny said, just part-time. I go to the community college here in Christmas. That was just after my uncle died, Wallace said. And what do you do for Aunt Alice? I help out when teachers bring their classes to see the space barn, Kenny said. I also run the cafe, and I help Howie if he needs me. Who's Howie? Wallace asked. He works for your aunt, too, Kenny said. He mows the lawn and keeps the place looking good. Howie's a handy dude. Well, I'm glad she has you both, Wallace said. Oh, and there's Hannah, Kenny said. She comes a couple of times a week to help your aunt around the house. When kids visit, Hannah shows them around the barn. What's in the barn? Josh asked. Wallace turned and grinned. That's where my uncle kept all his space stuff, she said. You'll see it soon. Dink poked Josh on the arm and pointed out the window. Nailed to a post was a sign that said, Snake World. Y'all come on in. Josh closed his eyes and shook his head. A few minutes later, Kenny turned the car into the gravel driveway. They passed under a wooden replica of a space shuttle. The silver shuttle was about 15 feet long and hung on chains from trees on both sides of the driveway. That is so cool, Josh said. The space shuttle is new, Wallace said. I haven't seen it before. Howie painted it, Kenny said. He parked the station wagon behind a gray van. Wallace and the kids hopped out and got their luggage. Kenny scuffed his foot in the gravel. Right here's where the mountain lion was, he said. The thing's tail was almost touching this car. Everyone looked at the spot. Dink gulped. The animal had been only 10 feet from the house. The place looks great, Wallace said. The house was white with black shutters. The windows gleamed in the sunlight. Over windows, boxes planted with a variety of flowers. A tall man carrying a ladder strode across the yard toward them. He wore jeans, a blue t-shirt, a thick-soled work boots. Hi there, the man said. I'm Howard Booker, but you can call me Howie. He laid the ladder down on the lawn and stuck out a big hand to shake. When Dink shook, his own hand seemed to disappear. You're here, a voice cried. A plump woman with white hair and eyeglasses came through a side door. Wallace and her aunt hugged, and then the kids stepped forward to greet her. Dink put out his hand, but Alice pulled him into a hug. We're big huggers here in the South, she said. After she'd hugged Josh and Ruth Rose, Alex brought them inside to the kitchen. On the table, Dink noticed a bag of flour, a mixing bowl, a jug of milk, and a pan with a dozen spoonfuls of cookie dough. Wallace told me you kids like cookies, Alice said. Josh started to say something about how much he liked cookies, but he stopped when something licked his hand. So those are the first two chapters, and we will continue on our next time with Space Shuttle Scan. I hope you're liking the story so far. I can't wait to see what happens next. Thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.